There's a lie that's destroying the potential of millions of men right now, a lie so often repeated that it's become accepted as truth. They say success belongs to the most talented, to the most intelligent, to the most motivated, to those born with some special advantage. But reality shows something completely different. If talent were enough, there wouldn't be brilliant people living mediocre lives. If intelligence were enough, there wouldn't be geniuses trapped in procrastination. And if motivation were enough, nobody would abandon goals just a few weeks after starting. The truth is far more uncomfortable. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they can't stay on track long enough. They start strong and end weak. They make grand promises and break small commitments. They dream of great results while negotiating daily with their own impulses. And that's precisely where the problem lies. It's not a lack of ability, it's a lack of discipline. The most curious thing is that society has taught man to seek motivation when he should be seeking structure. It has taught him to pursue inspiration when he should be building identity. Because motivation is emotional. Discipline is strategic. Motivation appears and disappears. Discipline remains. Motivation depends on mood. Discipline depends on decision. And when someone finally understands this difference, they begin to see the world in a different way. Machiavelli understood something that remains extremely relevant centuries later. The most powerful man is not the one who controls others. It is the one who controls himself, the one who can act when no one is watching, who keeps moving forward when there is no applause, who keeps his word even when breaking it would be more comfortable. This is true politics, guided by reality, not by ideals. Not the fantasy of those who would like to be strong, but the daily construction of those who choose to become strong. Throughout this video, you will discover why some people seem to possess unwavering focus, while others live trapped in endless cycles of procrastination and self-sabotage. You will understand how discipline is truly built, why the greatest enemy is almost always within one's own mind, and how to develop such a solid mental structure that criticism, distractions, failures, and difficulties cease to have the power to derail you. Because there's something most people never discover. When discipline reaches a certain level, it ceases to be a habit. It ceases to be an effort. It ceases to be a daily battle. It transforms you into who you are. And when that happens, the whole world realizes that it is facing someone who simply cannot be controlled. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder. You are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. There's a dangerous idea that most men accept without realizing it, that strength is synonymous with intensity. They believe that the most powerful man is the most aggressive, the most talkative, the most dominant in any environment. But reality often works very differently. The truly dangerous man rarely draws attention. He doesn't waste energy trying to prove who he is. He doesn't need to win every argument or announce his plans to the world. His strength stems from something much rarer: self-control. Machiavelli deeply understood this principle when he observed that lasting power is never built on impulses, but on inner mastery. After all, a person incapable of governing their own mind will hardly be able to govern any other area of life. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, teaches precisely this. Before conquering external territories, it is necessary to conquer the most difficult territory of all, the one that exists within one's own head. And it is precisely at this point that self-governance is born. Not as an extraordinary skill reserved for a few, but as a daily construction made up of small decisions, almost invisible to the eyes of others. Imagine a man who promises to wake up at 6 in the morning to train. When the alarm clock rings, no one is watching. There is no audience. There is no recognition. There is only a silent choice between obeying the plan or obeying comfort. It seems insignificant, but it is not. Each time he fulfills what he promised himself, he places another stone in an invisible structure being built within him. And each time he breaks his word without legitimate reason, he removes one of those stones. Most people believe that discipline is a great act of heroism. In reality, discipline is a wall built stone by stone, decision by decision, day after day. And the detail that few realize is that every time someone negotiates with themselves unnecessarily, they send a dangerous message to their subconscious. The message that their standards are negotiable, that their commitments can be altered as convenient, that their word does not have absolute value. And when this happens repeatedly, something much deeper begins to emerge behind this apparent lack of control. Most men spend years believing their greatest obstacles lie outside themselves. They blame the economy, family, lack of opportunities, competitors, governments, or luck. And while all these factors do indeed influence life, there's a truth few dare to face. The greatest enemy usually lives inside one's own skull. It wakes up with the person every morning. It knows their fears, their insecurities, their weaknesses, and their most hidden desires. It's the voice that appears precisely when an opportunity for growth arises and whispers that perhaps it's better to leave it for tomorrow. Machiavelli observed that the greatest human conflicts rarely begin on the battlefield. They begin within the mind. Before any external defeat exists, an internal surrender usually occurs. And that's precisely why politics guided by reality, not by ideals, demands a brutally honest analysis of human nature itself. Not that idealized version we'd like to possess, but the real version that appears when no one is watching. Because it is in this invisible space that a silent war takes place daily, capable of defining a person's entire destiny. Within this battle lies a fundamental difference that almost no one learns to identify: the difference between desire and ambition. The two seem similar at first glance, but produce completely different results. Ambition is a powerful fuel. It drives growth, learning, wealth building, physical development, and personal evolution. Undisciplined desire, on the other hand, acts like a fire spreading in a wooden house. It doesn't build, it consumes. An ambitious man might decide to study 2 hours a day to change his life. A man dominated by desire spends the same 2 hours seeking distractions that offer immediate pleasure. One seeks results, the other seeks relief. And every day these two versions sit at the same table to negotiate. The disciplined version talks about the future, responsibility, and purpose. The comfortable version talks about rest, quick rewards, and elegant justifications. The problem is that the second is usually extremely persuasive. It knows exactly which arguments to use. It transforms laziness into prudence. It transforms procrastination into planning. It transforms fear into false rationality. And while this negotiation continues to take place behind the scenes of the mind, an inevitable question begins to arise. How does one strengthen the right voice when silence disappears and discomfort finally arrives? There's an extremely popular misconception that destroys more progress than any failure: the belief that motivation comes before action. Most people wait to feel like starting. They wait to wake up inspired to train. They wait to feel energized to study. They wait to find enthusiasm to work towards their goals. But life rarely works that way. The men who achieve extraordinary results understand something most never learn. Discipline doesn't spring from motivation. It springs from silence. It springs precisely from moments when no positive emotion is available. Machiavelli understood that great leaders didn't make decisions based on fleeting emotional states. They were guided by a deep understanding of human reality. Politics, guided by reality, not ideals, demands that a person act according to what needs to be done, not according to what they feel like doing. This is where concepts like virtù and fortuna come in. Fortuna can deliver favorable or unfavorable circumstances, but virtù determines how someone reacts to those circumstances, and it is precisely in this space, between stimulus and response, that discipline begins to take shape. Not during the good days, but during the days when everything inside a person begs for surrender. Imagine a cold morning. The alarm clock rings. The body wants to stay in bed. The mind begins to produce sophisticated arguments. Just today won't make a difference. You deserve to rest. You can make up for it tomorrow. In that instant, a seemingly small choice is made. And it is precisely in that choice that the wall begins to be erected. Not when there is enthusiasm, not when there is recognition, not when results appear. The wall is built when no one is watching and nothing inside the person wants to move. Each silent repetition strengthens a new identity. Each action performed despite discomfort sends a powerful message to the subconscious. That command belongs to reason, not impulse. Over time, this private consistency begins to produce something rare. It creates a man who does not depend on circumstances to act. A man who does not need to negotiate with himself with every challenge. A man who becomes similar to the prince described by Machiavelli. Someone capable of acting firmly even in the face of uncertainty. And when this inner strength begins to grow, a new problem arises that few anticipate. Not everyone around will celebrate the construction of this wall. Some will try to weaken you without you even realizing it. One of the greatest illusions a man can cultivate is believing that the people around him do not influence his destiny. He imagines that his willpower will be enough to resist any external influence, that his determination will remain intact regardless of the environment in which he lives. But it is enough to observe reality to realize the opposite. Machiavelli understood that no ruler maintained his power in isolation. The quality of alliances always determined the stability of the kingdom. The same happens in personal life. The people closest to you are rarely neutral. They are, consciously or unconsciously, helping to build the wall of your discipline or removing bricks from it every day. Some encourage growth, responsibility, and evolution. Others fuel excuses, distractions, and mediocrity. And the most dangerous thing is that many of these influences come disguised as affection, friendship, or concern. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, requires courage to see this dynamic without romanticism. Not everyone who likes someone contributes to their growth. Not every pleasant companion favors the construction of an extraordinary life. In many cases, the biggest saboteur isn't a declared enemy, but someone who has become accustomed to the limited version of yourself that you used to be. That's why proximity should be a strategic decision, not just an emotional one. A disciplined man learns that time and energy are resources as valuable as money. Perhaps even more so, he understands that protecting a productive hour can be more important than earning 100 reais. That's why he begins to select environments, conversations, and relationships with much more discernment. not out of arrogance, not out of a feeling of superiority, but for strategic survival. A general doesn't position his own loyal armies in vulnerable territory unnecessarily. Similarly, someone committed to great goals doesn't expose their mind daily to influences that erode their discipline. This can mean reducing time with excessively negative people, limiting the consumption of empty content, or even learning to say no without guilt. Many confuse this with coldness. In fact, it's about responsibility. After all, whoever doesn't protect their own focus ends up working for other people's goals. And when a man begins to control his environment in this way, something even more sophisticated becomes necessary. Because it's not enough to control those around him. It's also necessary to learn to control what others see in him. Few men realize that discipline is not just about controlling actions. At a more advanced level, it also involves controlling what is revealed to the world. Most give away too much information without even realizing it. They reveal excessive emotions, react impulsively to criticism, demonstrate anxiety under pressure, and expose insecurities through small daily behaviors. The problem is not feeling these emotions. Every human being feels them. The problem is allowing them to take control of the narrative. Machiavelli deeply understood this mechanism when he spoke about the importance of the appearance of virtue. He wasn't advocating gratuitous falsehood. He was describing an inevitable reality. People judge not only who someone is, but mainly what they can see. And since they rarely see the whole picture, they end up building conclusions based on fragments. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, demands awareness of this phenomenon. The disciplined man understands that every reaction communicates something, every emotional outburst delivers information, every impulsive demonstration offers valuable clues to the observer. And in a world where everyone is constantly interpreting behaviors, learning to manage one's own presence becomes a strategic skill of enormous value. Therefore, a truly disciplined man does not react immediately. First, he observes. Then he processes. Only then does he respond. This difference seems small, but it completely changes the dynamics of power. Imagine a work meeting where someone makes a public provocation. Most people respond impulsively, trying to defend themselves quickly. The trained man acts differently. He listens, he analyzes, he allows silence to work in his favor. And when he finally speaks, his words emerge with intention, not with uncontrolled emotion. This posture produces a curious effect. While others reveal their weaknesses through impulsiveness, he remains difficult to decipher, and what cannot be easily read cannot be easily manipulated either. Machiavelli knew that the calculated use of force often begins with the calculated use of one's own image. Not every battle needs to be fought. Not every provocation deserves a response. Not every criticism requires immediate defense. In many cases, the greatest demonstration of strength is simply refusing to surrender access to one's own emotional triggers. And as this capacity begins to mature, a new realization inevitably emerges, that there is a resource even more valuable than reputation, money, or influence. A resource that is being consumed every second, whether anyone realizes it or not. There is a currency more valuable than gold, scarcer than any natural resource, and more democratic than any economic system ever created. Everyone receives exactly the same amount of it every day. Rich and poor, young and old, kings and laborers. This currency is called time. The difference is that few understand its true value. Most treat hours as if they were infinite. They give minutes to unimportant distractions, days to purposeless activities, and years to goals they didn't even consciously choose. Machiavelli understood that power has always been linked to the efficient management of available resources. And no resource is more important than that which can never be recovered. Lost money can be recovered. Businesses can be rebuilt. Reputations can be restored, but a wasted hour disappears forever. Politics, guided by reality, not by ideals, forces a person to face this truth without softening. Each morning represents a new time budget, and each decision made throughout the day reveals, in a brutally honest way, what truly has priority in someone's life. Not what he says he values, but what he dedicates his time to. That's why the disciplined man develops an almost strategic relationship with his schedule. He learns to observe where his time is slipping away. Often the loss doesn't happen in large blocks, but in small, invisible leaks. 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, a pointless conversation, a social network opened without intention, a distraction turned into a habit. And when these bits are added up, entire weeks disappear. There's a reason why extremely focused people often cause discomfort in others. They function as mirrors. Their discipline exposes, without saying a single word, the choices that others are making daily. The man who protects his hours reminds others of the time they themselves are wasting, and not everyone likes this reminder. That's why he will often be called obsessive, overly serious, or even distant. But he understands something fundamental. Every hour spent without intention ends up serving someone else's plans. And the more awareness he develops about this, the more selective he becomes. Still, there is a force capable of interrupting even the most disciplined men. A force that inevitably visits all human beings. The point is that some try to run away from it, while others learn to transform it into fuel. Most men spend their lives trying to avoid pain. They believe that the goal of existence is to build a reality comfortable enough to never again have to face suffering, rejection, failure, or adversity. But there's a problem with this logic. Pain doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask if someone is prepared. It simply arrives, sooner or later, in some area of life. And when that happens, two people can live through the exact same experience and emerge from it completely different. One becomes bitter, the other becomes stronger. Machiavelli knew this reality better than almost any thinker of his time. After losing political influence, being imprisoned, accused of conspiracy, exiled, and subjected to torture, he had every reason to abandon his ideals and wallow in resentment. However, he did something very different. He transformed that period of adversity into one of the most intellectually productive moments of his life. It was precisely during his exile that he wrote much of the work that would span centuries. This episode reveals a powerful lesson. Extraordinary men are not those who escape pain. They are those who learn to use it. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, teaches that ignoring suffering does not eliminate it, but converting it into productive energy can completely alter its meaning. Observe anyone who has built something significant, a great business, a solid career, an impressive physical transformation, an intellectual legacy. In almost every case, there's a story of hidden pain behind the scenes, a humiliation that sparked ambition, a loss that generated maturity, a failure that taught something impossible to learn through comfort. The problem is that most people try to numb these experiences before extracting any value from them. They seek immediate distractions, constant entertainment, or justifications that momentarily alleviate the discomfort. The disciplined man acts differently. He asks what that pain is trying to teach. He transforms rejection into emotional training. He converts criticism into strategic analysis. He uses defeats as a source of information. It is at this point that one of the greatest expressions of virtù and fortuna emerges. Fortuna can bring unexpected storms, but virtù determines whether these storms will destroy someone or strengthen them. And the more this capacity develops, the harder it becomes to shake their inner structure. Yet, there is a curious detail. The strongest men rarely appear strong at first glance. because they learn to hide their resistance behind a much more sophisticated quality: composure. There is a huge difference between appearing strong and being strong. Most people spend years trying to build an image of power. They speak louder, flaunt achievements, seek constant recognition, and make a point of demonstrating confidence in any situation. But truly disciplined men follow a different path. They understand that the most difficult strength to acquire is precisely the one that doesn't need to be announced. Machiavelli observed that the most effective rulers rarely revealed all their intentions, not because they were necessarily mysterious, but because they understood a fundamental rule of human nature. What can be fully read can also be predicted, and what can be predicted becomes vulnerable. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, teaches that emotional control serves not only to avoid impulsive mistakes. It also functions as a strategic layer of protection. The disciplined man learns that not every emotion needs to be displayed, not every concern needs to be shared. Not every victory requires public celebration. In many cases, silence communicates far more power than any exaggerated display of confidence. Behind this posture lies something few understand. Composure is not the absence of emotion. It is not artificial coldness. It is not feigning indifference in the face of difficulties. On the contrary, composure is the ability to feel deeply without allowing feelings to take control. It is maintaining clarity when others are overwhelmed by chaos. It is preserving stability when everyone around is reacting impulsively. Think of a captain navigating during a storm. The sea is rough, the wind is strong, the crew is frightened. If the captain shows panic, fear will immediately spread throughout the vessel. But if he remains firm, even recognizing the risks, he transmits security to everyone around. The same happens in life. The disciplined man becomes a point of stability amidst the turbulence. His composure is born from what he has built in private, from accumulated discipline, from promises kept, from internal battles won, from the ability to avoid being hated without constantly needing to please. The understanding that better to be feared than loved doesn't mean inspiring irrational fear, but conveying enough firmness so that your convictions are respected. And when this silent presence begins to solidify, a new skill becomes indispensable. The ability to think beyond the next outcome, beyond the next week, and even beyond the next year. A large part of human failures doesn't happen due to a lack of ability, nor a lack of intelligence, nor even a lack of opportunity. They happen because people insist on playing a short game using materials that take decades to produce results. We live in an age that rewards apparent speed. Everything needs to happen fast. Success must arrive immediately. Recognition must be instantaneous. Results need to appear in weeks. And when that doesn't happen, many conclude they are on the wrong track. Machiavelli understood something that remains extremely relevant today. The greatest human achievements almost always require strategic patience. Kingdoms weren't built in a season. Fortunes didn't arise in a single move. Solid reputations weren't created overnight. Politics guided by reality, not ideals, forces a man to abandon fantasies of immediate gratification and accept an uncomfortable truth. That which has real value usually requires time, a lot of time. And that's precisely why so many give up. Not because the plan doesn't work, but because the reward takes longer than they imagined. Meanwhile, they continue to compare their behind-the-scenes experiences with those of others, failing to realize that they are observing completely different chapters of the same story. This comparison is perhaps one of the most destructive traps of modern life. A man starts a business and compares it to someone who has been in the market for 15 years. He starts training and compares himself to someone who has been building their physique for a decade. He begins a new career and measures his progress against experienced professionals. It's an unfair competition from the start. The problem isn't just the comparison, it's the misinterpretation of the process. What people see as sudden success is usually the result of thousands of invisible days. Days without applause, without likes, without recognition, without any evident sign of progress. It is in this seemingly monotonous stretch that the wall of discipline truly grows. The disciplined man learns to respect the value of silent work. He understands that virtù and fortuna operate on different scales. Fortuna can accelerate or delay events, but virtù continues to be built daily through repeated choices. That's why he doesn't measure his worth by the results of the week. He measures it by the ability to remain in motion, even when nothing seems to be happening. And there is something profoundly unsettling about someone who develops this skill. Because when a man stops seeking immediate validation and learns to persevere indefinitely, he begins to transform into something the world rarely encounters. Someone who simply cannot be stopped. There is a silent moment in some men's lives when something changes definitively. It's not a dramatic transformation. It doesn't happen before crowds. It doesn't come with applause or immediate recognition. In fact, almost no one notices when it happens. But the man himself notices. Because he stops depending on motivation to act. He stops depending on approval to continue. He stops depending on circumstances to keep his commitments. It is at this point that discipline ceases to be a task and becomes identity. For a long time, he believed he needed to feel the will. Then he discovered that he only needed to decide. And then he understood something even deeper. This decision needs to be renewed daily, every morning, without exception. Machiavelli understood that true power lies not in achieving an isolated victory, but in maintaining the ability to act correctly repeatedly. Politics guided by reality, not by ideals, demands exactly that. Not a grand, occasional show of force, but an endless sequence of small choices aligned with a greater purpose. The disciplined man doesn't wait for the perfect moment. He acts because he decided to act. And the more you repeat this process, the harder it becomes to steer you away from the path. That's why the world often reacts strangely to truly disciplined individuals. People know how to deal with those who give up. They know how to deal with those who complain. They know how to deal with those who make excuses, but they rarely know what to do with someone who doesn't give in, doesn't react impulsively, and doesn't stop. Such a man becomes unpredictable in a peculiar way. Not because he constantly changes direction, but because his consistency defies common expectations. He is not controlled by praise. He is not interrupted by criticism. He is not diverted by momentary distractions. His strength stems from constant adaptability, from understanding real human nature, and from the ability to apply decisions based on real human nature, even when it requires discomfort. He has learned the true meaning of the calculated use of force, directing energy only toward what truly matters. He has learned to build his own loyal armies within himself, transforming habits into permanent allies. He understands when the end justifies the means and when certain shortcuts only weaken his structure. And then the final transformation occurs. Little by little, almost without realizing it, he ceases to be someone trying to build a wall. He becomes the wall itself, the one that remains firm in the face of pressure, the one that doesn't compromise its principles at the first sign of difficulty, the one that continues to stand when everything else begins to crumble. If there's one lesson that runs through everything said so far, it's this: discipline is not a gift. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not something reserved for a small elite of extraordinary people. Discipline is a construction, a slow, silent, and often invisible construction. It's born in the small decisions that no one sees, in the promises you make to yourself and choose to keep, in the moments when it would be easy to give up, but you continue, in the days when there's no motivation but there's still action. The question that really matters now isn't whether you understood these ideas. The question is, what are you going to do with them? Because knowledge without application is just intellectual entertainment. How many times have you consumed powerful content and returned to the exact same habits? How many goals have been abandoned because comfort prevailed? How many opportunities have disappeared because the weaker version of yourself took control at the crucial moment? Look at your life with brutal honesty. If someone were to observe your actions over the next 30 days, would they conclude that you are moving toward your goals or away from them? Are your current habits building the man you want to become or reinforcing the person you are trying to leave behind? Because the reality is simple. The future is not created by intentions. It is created by behaviors repeated daily. Machiavelli understood that great transformations rarely happen through fleeting emotions. They happen through the disciplined repetition of correct choices, through constant adaptability, through decisions based on real human nature, through the courage to act even when no one is watching. This is how ordinary men build extraordinary lives, not by chance, not by luck, but because they decided to stop negotiating with their own weaknesses. So leave your answer in the comments. What is the main area of your life where a lack of discipline is still hindering your results? What habit do you know you need to build immediately? And what excuse did you finally decide to abandon after watching this video? If this content has given you a new perspective, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because here we don't talk about comfortable fantasies. We talk about personal power, strategy, self-mastery, Machiavelli, and the truths that help men develop an increasingly strong, disciplined, and unmanipulated mindset. Ultimately, the question that will linger after this video is simple. You will continue to be someone who tries to build the wall, or will it eventually become the wall itself?